stage with us because we really thank you. Come here, please. We really thank you for being here. For the amazing documentary. No, we really thank you. Because it's really, yes, me and Valeria, we really thank you that you are here and we present this documentary here and also the beautiful show we have. And now, I want you to make a speech, a few more. I said, Ashley, you first.
I have a few words.
And he's Peter's turn.
Oh, yes. I had the fortune or misfortune to be born to Phil's turn. However way you put it. First, I want to thank all the people involved in the Taormina Film Festival for this invitation to the inaugural LA edition of this film festival. Taormina was our favorite city in Sicily. That was all we wanted. And the only thing that could make this better would be if we were in that spectacular ancient theater right now. So I'm putting in my request for an invite to the next film festival in Taormina. So this documentary, I feel, portrays two of Phil's most important events of his life, his two trips to Sicily. The times he spent in Sicily could not have been under more different circumstances, but yet on both occasions he was welcomed as a hero. Phil never thought of himself as a hero during any time in his life. His intellect would not let him think in those terms, but he relished the friendships attained and generosity received from the Sicilian people on both occasions. His first trip to Sicily as a young man, who in his words was going to destroy Hitler, I feel was a major turning point in his life. He quickly realized the reality of war and its absurdity. He was not going to destroy Hitler. What he saw and went through during this time in the army never left his thoughts regarding all subsequent clashes, which he always opposed his country took part in. He did not talk much about his time in the army with us, only that he received some shrapnel in his wrist and neck and proceeded to show his scars. And at one point, he was mistakenly declared killed in battle. He would quickly change the subject to the welcoming Adamo family, whom he came across on their small farm, and how the entire Stern clan wouldn't be here if he stayed with them when asked. This story, which he recalls in the documentary so eloquently, was reiterated with much bravado in every city he visited on his second trip. He did not talk about anything regarding being a hero. As he watched the innocent suffer far more than the warring armies, he felt the genuine spirit of the people in Sicily as their island was being destroyed. To them, it was a necessary evil, so they embraced the Allied soldiers as liberators and did what they could to help. Phil never forgot the people and what they endured. His interaction with Sicilian people on both his trips is what resonated in his memories. I didn't know I had this much. It's interesting how this campaign to liberate Italy has not been as decorated as D-Day and the Japanese invasion. I liken Phil and his buddies from Darby's Rangers. We have a ranger here now, Matt, to the people known today as first responders. They were the first Americans to engage in war in Europe and Africa. They were to clear out North Africa and be a part of the coming invasion of Italy through Sicily. This was to be a dry run for D-Day later. His job was to document this with photographs, and this he did with thousands of shots he saved through a year and a half of combat. No easy feat. These photos documented this invasion with such clarity and non-bias that 70 years later, the people of Sicily felt they should be celebrated along with the man who took them. Phil welcomed his chance to go back to Sicily for this historic event with open arms. He wanted to see the changes that had taken place, where he had been, remember his footsteps from 70 years ago, and how the people now felt of this bygone time. It was in some way, I think, closure for him from a time in his distant past that may have not come to an end in his mind. He probably would have never told anyone that. He would have more likely said, if they're paying, I'm going. As for the rest of the Stearns, this was a spectacular trip through the past and present of this beautiful island. The most poignant of our trips was to the Museum of the Landing in Catania. Here we were taken back in time to a town feeling the horror of war, and we all left this wonderful recreation with tears in our eyes. On a happier note, we were treated like rock stars as we were bused to 6 different cities, fed wonderful food, stayed in the best hotels, and met fantastic, loving people wherever we went. But it was always Phil in the center of attention, with marching bands, keys to cities, and people clamoring to shake his hand or just get a glimpse of him. They never forgot the ones who came to save their island all those years ago, and we will never forget our time in Sicily. I must now thank the Sicilian people, and especially Ezio Costanzo, for putting together Phil Stearns' return to Sicily, along with some of his family, to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Allied invasion, and for documenting it in this film so beautifully. Also, thanks go to Ornella Laneri, her husband Salviera Piazza, for making Phil and our family feel so at home, and Carmelo Nicosia for his beautiful photos and book that documented our time in Sicily. They all became the Stearns' adopted family. Ciao, bella to them.